Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest 8-second gaming, and in today's video we are going to be talking about how to play Edge and get points in ranked doing that. Because I think we all know that the more safe and consistent playstyle is playing Edge, going for placement, stuff like that, but it's a little bit boring for some people. You want to play Edge, you want to get kills, so don't worry, today I've got you covered. But just quickly, if you guys are looking to take your Apex skill to the next level, then you need to check out the GameLeap website right now. Over there we have top level coaches, including myself, creating the best, most highly informative guides to make you the best player you could possibly be. We have legend guides, gun guides, VOD reviews, and much more, so click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, and start to improve today. But okay, with that out of the way, let's hop back into things. And before we actually start talking about this, I do want to make one thing very clear. This is a more risky style of play. You are risking your placement points in order to get more kill points. And yes, that is a little bit more exciting for some people because you are going to be fighting a lot more of the game, but with all that fighting comes the potential to be third, fourth, fifth, sixth partied, and you could lose a lot of points. So if you want a more consistent playstyle, definitely go check out our video talking about how to play zone, because that will be a lot more consistent. But if you guys like to fight, let's start breaking this down. Now to start off with, we have to talk about your drop spot, because this is very important for Edge teams, and I see a lot of people mess this up. When you are dropping, you want to pick a spot on the outskirts of the map. If you can find a spot that you can drop all to yourself that has a place very near it that has 2 to 3 teams dropping in it, that is ideal, because you can loot the spot that you land all to yourself and then go for that quick and easy cleanup on the teams that are fighting right beside you. Just because you want to be aggressive doesn't mean you can't think it out. And if you can let teams do all the dirty work for you and you can just swoop in and get all the kills, that's even better. Now, if you can't find a spot like that, it is fine to drop contested, because you are going to be confident enough to take an early game fight. Typically, I don't recommend dropping with other teams, but because this is an Edge style game, you are going to be fighting a lot more often. This is a kind of exception to it. However, if you can't find a spot like that, dropping alone is perfectly fine, but do pay attention to where other teams are dropping near you, because you want to know this for your rotation. If you can see where all the teams are landing near you, you're going to be able to pick a better rotation and find a team that's going to be a little bit more isolated. Isolated fights are key as an Edge style team, because with those isolated fights means you're going to be third partied a lot less often. And if you're third partied a lot less often, it's just straight up 3v3s, and you should be able to win those. If you can't win a straight up 3v3, you might want to rethink doing an Edge style play. But now that you have your drop spot covered, let's move into the mid game, because this is where stuff starts to pop off. Now, as an Edge team, you are looking to pick up more kills. You are looking to figure out where people are playing, you're looking to figure out where people are rotating, and you're looking to cut them off. This is a big misconception that people have with Edge. They think it's just mindlessly running at people and fighting whenever you can. But you still want to think about who you are trying to fight, because you still have to have a game plan in mind. If you can find the people that are trying to rotate to zone because they're not as confident in their fighting abilities, and you cut them off and start to fight them, then you have a much higher chance at winning the fight. That's going to be 3 easy KP that you can just steamroll, get the fight over with extremely quickly, and then move on to the next fight, leaving less chance for you to be third partied. Now, the best way to do this is obviously to have a recon legend. If you can scan the UAV, figure out where every single person is playing, you can find the people that are just completely alone and look to fight them. If they landed completely alone and all they're doing is looting and then going to move, that is definitely a zone style team, so you can look to cut them off. Alternatively, you can scan the UAV, figure out anybody that's super isolated, and just go straight for them, whether they be an Edge or a zone team. It doesn't really matter, because they're isolated and it's a straight up 3v3 at that point. Now, the next thing you guys have to understand is you cannot get too overzealous with rotating to zone. If you rotate into ring way too early, then you are not an Edge style team. You want to go basically as the ring is closing. You want to play on the edge. If you go to zone way too early, you're just chilling out, you're hanging out, you're just turning into a zone team. Don't be afraid to draw out your time in the zone a little bit longer. As long as you have an evac tower, some heat shields, some meds, you will be fine if you take a little bit of zone damage. Even though the zone did receive some changes this season, it's a little bit scarier. Even in the first round, it's still not that bad. But don't go overboard with it. Like, don't stay for an elongated amount of time, because it's not going to be worth it. You're going to be chugging through meds, but if you're in there for a few seconds, it's not the end of the world. As long as you are getting benefits from you being in the ring, you're getting some fights in, you're getting some KP, you're also getting placement point, because as you're doing this, other teams are dying, then it's okay to be in the ring. You're not going to lose the game just because of that. But if you have to get there a little bit early because your rotation is a little bit scuffed, you don't really have good options to fight, that's okay as well. Just don't go too far into ring. What you want to do is you want to sit on the edge of it and then start to gatekeep teams as they're coming in. So start to think about where other teams are going to be coming from and place yourself over in that direction. A lot of teams panic when they get stuck in the ring. And when teams panic, that's when you can start to take advantage of things, and that's when they are going to make mistakes that you can then capitalize off of and get some more easy kills. For the next couple of rings, it's going to be the same thing. So let's talk about the more complicated part for Edge, and that's going to be the end game. Now, because you spent all your time on the edge of zone, you didn't really move towards the end game, you are not going to have the most ideal spot when you do rotate towards the end game spots. All of the zone teams that got there way earlier than you did are going to have God spot. They're going to have the best buildings, they're going to have the best high grounds, and you are going to be left with what you can take. Now, a lot of people, when they do rotate in, they try to fight for something immediately, but that's not what you need to be doing as an edge style team. Just because you are aggressive doesn't mean you have to be overly aggressive. So when you initially come in from the edge of zone, you want to start looking at what your options are. If there's a semi-decent spot that is free, that is most likely your best plan of action. Because if you throw yourself into a building that a team has had locked up since the start of the game, they're going to know that you're coming, they're going to be able to do some poke damage on you. Even if you do get in the building, other teams are going to see that, and they're also going to potentially want to fight that, because if you can clean up some extra kills, why wouldn't you? So most of the time, throwing into a team is not going to be worth it, especially if they know what they're doing and know how to hold it, because they're just going to stall you, other teams are going to roll in, they're going to third party it, and you're going to die. So take that initial time to just scan what you have at your disposal. See if there's a building, see if there's a rock, see if there's some terrain, because a lot of people still don't really know how to play zone properly, and a lot of stuff is actually open when you actually start to look around. But after that, hopefully something will be available and you'll be able to take that, and then it just turns into a regular endgame zone. You play for what's best, you wait for the zone to close, you manipulate some teams around you, you close the game out, you get some more kills, you win the game, you get a bunch of LP, everybody's happy. But if there is absolutely nothing available, then what are your options? Well, it will depend game to game, because some things open up and some things don't. But there are going to be a few options that you can take. One is you can start to split hold areas. If there's a building that is very big and has a lot of options to it, you could potentially split hold that building with another team that has been holding it. You take one side, you don't be overly aggressive, and you just kind of coexist in that spot. There might be some potential poking and trading that goes on inside that building, but for the most part, it's not going to be too aggressive, because you both don't want to be the ones to make the first move and to be the ones to die. This happens a lot in something like ALGS. If you look at some buildings, a lot of teams will play different floors of a building because they don't want to be the one to start to throw into the other team. They'll look and make sure that the other ones aren't trying to push on them, but other than that, they're not going to be super aggressive. This isn't as likely to happen in ranked because a lot of times people won't like to split hold buildings, but it is still a viable option. Now, the next option is to just manipulate a team to leave their spot or to force two teams to fight. As you're coming in from ring, if you can see a team that's just kind of overextended a little bit, you might be able to get some initial poke damage out, maybe 3-2-1 a person, make the other people on the team panic, or maybe even make the whole team panic and they just leave their spot for free and run into other teams and just die. Then you can take their spot and you can start to play where they were playing. This is going to be very situational because it has to be the right circumstances where you can actually manipulate teams to do what you want. But if teams are set up, it's pretty likely that they're not going to want to leave that spot that they are playing. Another way to manipulate teams is if another team is coming in from zone because they were also playing edge, you might be able to force them to then throw into a spot that somebody already has set up. Like I mentioned before, a lot of teams get really over aggressive when they do come out of zone and they try to get an end game spot. So if you notice a team get way too aggressive, try to throw into somebody that has a spot set up, you can be that third party to go in and just clean up all the kills. As they're fighting, you want to be applying pressure to make sure that the team knows that they cannot back out of this fight. They either win it or they die. But it's basically just them activating your trap card, because if they do continue to fight, they're probably going to die anyway, because you're just going to swoop right in after and take their spot because everybody else is dead now and you have a ton of loot boxes now. There's a lot of ways to manipulate teams. If I was to go over all of them, it would make this video way too long, but those are the two main ones. Now, the last option that you guys will have is to just make a Hail Mary play and throw into a team and hopefully wipe them before anybody else can do anything about it. Sometimes it's going to be unavoidable. There's going to be no spots to play. You can't manipulate any teams. You're going to have to throw into somebody and hope that it works out for you. If you can get a ton of initial damage out on somebody, get some good trading, get a crack, get a knock, something like that, you're going to have to take advantage of it and you're going to have to push that team. Hopefully they don't have somebody like a Catalyst, a Watson, a Caustic, anything like that to stall your push out. And if they don't, it's going to be a little bit easier for you. But if they do, it's going to be a little bit tougher. But that's going to change game to game, so it's all going to have to be a heads-up situation play by you. But after every single one of those situations, hopefully you do have a spot to play at some point, and then again, it just turns into a regular end game where you look to close out some kills, close out the game, get a ton of LP, And that is how you play Edge. So let me know if you guys have any questions about it in the comments down below. And if you guys want to stay updated with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. Thanks all for watching. Once again, maintain gaming. I'll see you guys in the next one.